Good evening, everybody. Post-fight pod, Steve Wellings here. Someone's floating about there. I think it's Hater Dave on the call. Matty DiGelinardo is with us as well. So is Andy Patterson. Hope you're enjoying yourselves there, listening live and exclusive. I was just explaining to the boys there, off air. This should be one of the greatest heavyweight nights of recent history. We should be enjoying this post-fight pod together. And I have taken a huge fucking L tonight, man. My internet has been absolutely shit. Just before we come online, I did a speed check, 0.58 upload speed. I have barely watched any of the early part of the fight. So you guys are going to have to help me on through here. Andy, I'm going to do as less talking as possible because I am lacking the knowledge. Fucking EE, man. I am going fucking ballistic on Monday morning with them. Let me know.
How big was your boner in the third round, Andy? That's what everyone wants to know.
Never mind the third round, mate. I feel Steve's pain because I was obviously team stream tonight. I was team illegal stream. And it's been absolutely rock solid. Been no glitches, doesn't dropped off. Crystal clear HD. Didn't need to phone Johnny, the fucking Inferno Twig guy. But can I just say, what a fight. It was fantastic. I thought it delivered what we expected it to deliver, actually. Fair play to Joshua. He did try to kind of press the fight once. I'll tell you what, I was shocked at Usyk's quick start. I did say to these guys last week that he had to start fast. He did that the first 3-4 rounds, and then Joshua came in about the 5th, 6th, and 7th. Good round in the 7th by Usyk, actually. Really fucking good 7th round. Dropping the straight left hands in there. A lot of kind of feints. That was the thing for me, actually, was the fact that he was drawing Joshua to kind of like throw away him and try and punch him, but he was feinting him. He was drawing the feints, and Joshua was automatically reacting to it. So he was obviously getting very, very wary to the straight left hands. It was, for me at least, the first left hand that Usyk landed in the first round, it was very early doors. For me at least, it got Joshua thinking straight away, and Usyk held centre ring for the best part of that fight. Because if you look at it, very, very seldom was Usyk on the ropes, possibly once or twice, grappled maybe 3 or 4 times possibly late on in the fight, but that left hand, straight left hand for Usyk was the money punch. Joshua, for all his credit, actually did really well in the middle rounds. He was trying to kind of obviously the good jab. Straight right hand was coming to play a couple of times and that, but Usyk ate, by the way. He ate those right hands and he came back from time to time, fucking firing right back at him. Dropped a few shots to the body, Joshua. A couple uppercuts and that as well. You can see Usyk maybe complaining a wee bit about some low blows and that, but ultimately that 12th round, I was roaring my head off in the last 50 seconds of that round. I thought Joshua was ready to get taken out. Usyk's piling the pressure on. I'm watching it just now, actually. Usyk's Joshua up against the ropes. He's sticking his tongue out. He's got the swollen eye. Usyk's just teeing off on him and that. And I just thought there was the only way they could beat Usyk based off those rounds that I watched, and that was like they would totally rob him. But fair play, they've got it right. First time every time they've spotted. I had it 117-111 for Usyk, and fantastic performance. Gave Joshua fits for the vast majority of that fight. Usyk, as I say, he had problems maybe middle rounds, taking body shots, right uppercuts and that, and fair play to the guy. Absolutely delighted for a match because, been waiting for the start, followed them all over Europe, went to Eastern Europe to go and watch him as well. Couldn't get a visa to go to Russia to watch him against Gazayev. So I'm absolutely delighted that he's pulled this off and that, because I says to the missus and that as well. She reminded me actually that I've been the only person that she's heard talk about boxing over the last so many years and that. And when it comes to Joshua and that, she hears like the casuals talk about Joshua and that. Nobody that she knew was backing Usyk apart from me. And then he's obviously pulled it off. So I feel fucking delighted for a man. He's going to go back, heavyweight champ. He's got big Vitaly in the corner there, shaking hands with him. Absolutely tremendous fight for me at least. Anyway, good technical battle. Both guys played their part. Fuck the undercard. The main event delivered for me at least anyway. So fair play to the guys. Good fight. And I'm very, very excited that fucking Joshua won. Usyk won that fight. Tremendous.
Good stuff, Andy. I did see the last 2 rounds and Usyk was absolutely dominating from what I saw. Ryan Deal's thrown in a $5 New Zealand super chat. He said,
Whoa.
I feel. Thank you very much, Ryan, to you indeed. Matty's getting excited over there. We're going to Aussie shortly, but first of all, Big Ben Farouki's out there live and in Technicolor. Ben, what you seeing? What did you see tonight?
Oh, Like I said to you guys in the chat, I've been to many boxing fights around the world in my time, but that was the best fight I've been to. I think the atmosphere was electrifying. Watching Usyk, that was a thing of beauty, man. The movement, just everything he did tonight was amazing. I think that's probably the best I've ever seen in my life live. Yeah, I'm still in awe of what I've just seen. Really, and we're just here waiting for the press conference to start. You can see all the media, there's Ukrainian media there. They were going crazy when the final bell went. They knew, obviously, we all knew, and they were celebrating like crazy. And yeah, we're just getting ready for the post-fight presser to start here. Yeah, amazing. Can't wait for the rematch. Which, well, we know it's in the clause, and I assume Joshua would want to exercise it. It doesn't make sense really for him not to, but I don't think there'll be any change in the outcome. But yeah, it was just it really was a thing of beauty to watch.
Cheers, Ben. Stick with us for as long as you want, sir. Good to have you on there. Yes, I did wonder, as Patrick Sweeney throws in a Norwegian 200, what is it, Andy? Kroners or something, is that?
Yeah, no,
Norwegian money?
200 Norwegian kroners, mate. It's about 20 quid. So cheers to Patrick Sweeney.
He's a Patreon subscriber as well. So is Ryan Deal. So
Yeah.
the boys are throwing in plenty of money to us each month. Much appreciated.
We are loved. We are loved.
That keeps us in weed melty for the next couple of months, mate.
Class. Thanks very much, Patrick. Aussie's in
Andy,
and out.
use it to buy a fucking sound streaming option, would you?
Or for Steve at least to go and buy at least internet.
Yeah, Steve get an internet upgrade. Andy get a fucking Inferno Twig. I mean, let's invest in ourselves.
I'm gonna get an Inferno Twig, man.
I've watched the illegal stream in the HD. I've got Roy Jones and DAZN speaking clarity just now. By the way, don't got any brain damage. Steve needs to upgrade to fibre fucking broadband instead for EE.
It's 40 quid a month, man. Bastards. Don't get me 40 quid a month I pay that for that. I'll tell you what, don't get me started, Andy. You need to calm down
You're
here.
Raging now, mate. I know you're raging. I can
raging,
hear it.
Man.
Mate, listen, I'll hit you up. I'll hit the torrents for you. I'll upload it for you. I'll send it to you and you can enjoy it. And honestly, mate, it was for me at least, it was a culmination of excellence. That's what it was, mate. I was kind of worried midway point that he maybe gas out. That 7th round, you look like usually it was gas, but you still won the fucking round. But anyways, get the guys involved here.
Get the guys on, indeed. Yeah, I'm going to watch it again tomorrow in full. So tomorrow night I will be well informed. Ozzy, you've seen it all 12 rounds. What did you make of it, sir?
A tremendous performance, mate. Absolutely tremendous. And for those that said size matters, how wrong are they? How wrong are they?
Eat my ass.
It was an
absolute raging.
It was a masterclass, absolute masterclass, particularly towards the end. And it just shows that regardless of size, somewhat, we're not talking, like about 8-9 pounds at the lower weights. If Deontay Wilder weighs in at 212 and then Tyson Fury weighs in at 260, we're not talking about size, are we? But in this instance, because somebody's coming up from cruiserweight to heavyweight, the size is a factor. And it proved absolutely nothing. Joshua was bamboozled in there and ultimately stunned several times. And look at the way he was busted up at the end of it as well. A tremendous performance from Oleksandr Usyk. He clearly goes above, the way he outboxed Joshua. What a brilliant performance. And now, Ben was saying, he needs to exercise the rematch clause. I disagree. I really disagree, because what can Joshua do different? The answer is nothing. Absolutely nothing. He was the one who dropped the weight. He came in leaner. He tried to, adapt to what Usyk was going to do. What did he do? Nothing. He couldn't do it. I think Joshua would be better waiting for the out. Obviously, he's going to see the outcome of Fury Wilder. And then at the end of the day, regardless of what happens, Fury against Joshua is still a bigger fight than Fury against Usyk. Now, providing Fury wins, that is the bigger fight, without a doubt. So if I'm Joshua, I would not exercise that rematch clause whatsoever, because regardless of what we think, what people think, he is still a moneymaker. He still puts bums on seats, and that's what people care about. That is ultimately what people care about. It was just a tremendous display. And like I said, I was one who picked Usyk last week. I said it'd go on to points. I didn't think he'd stop him. And to be fair, Joshua was busted up at the end, but it was a tremendous display. And I think we saw the Usyk of the cruiserweight division. And, we were talking about, people were looking into, well, look at his performance against Chaz Witherspoon. Look at his performance against Derek Chisora. Read nothing into that. Oleksandr Usyk did not fear Chaz Witherspoon, who was a big fat lump, big chippy tits, who came in, with a week's notice, a big slobby belly, and he just didn't come out to win. And then you had Big Del Boy, who, gave it a go for 2 or 3 rounds. And yeah, he did cause problems, without a doubt. I say he caused problems, but then Usyk adapted. And then what did he do after that? He absolutely dominated. And then he's had time, he's built into the weight, and he's come in and boxed Joshua and put on an absolute masterclass and a tremendous performance. And had Joshua have won tonight, it would have been Joshua's career best win, without a doubt. And tonight, Oleksandr Usyk, he has registered his career best win, in my opinion. He's put on a masterclass and he's done something, like one of very few cruiserweights do. He's come up, he's dominated, he looked excellent, and he's proved, the experts wrong. The experts that say, a lot of them that say, if you've not boxed, you've not got an opinion, you can't read a fight. Well, us guys that have not had a professional fight called the way this fight would go. And what happened? Will we get any credit? Absolutely not. But all I say is we give all the credit to Oleksandr Usyk.
Well said, Ozzy. Credit to the boys as well who've thrown the super chats in. James Windsor says AJ can redeem himself by KOing White. Thank you to James very much indeed. Ian Cleater as well, as said, just delighted the judges didn't rob Usyk. Absolutely, exactly. Hey to Dave, what are you thinking about the judges there? Were you hearing 117, 112? I think it was one of them, 116, 112. It was getting a bit closer, 115, 113 for Howard Foster. Were you getting a little bit twitchy there, Dave, or did you think that the right man would get it all along?
Well, you're always going to be twitchy in that arena, in that country, with Matchroom promoting the fight, everything behind AJ. Even though I felt Usyk certainly left no doubt, especially the way he closed the show in the 11th and 12th rounds. He didn't sit on his lead, and that was huge. That was one of the big surprises for me tonight, because I could have foreseen a technical, tactical, tit-for-tat sort of fight where Usyk gets the better of it, landing the cleaner work and shows better defense. I did not foresee that kind of a flurry from Usyk late on, and beautiful. I think he had AJ about ready to go. If not hurt, he was about ready to quit. He looked totally like he didn't want to be there. And that was down to Usyk's good work and pressure. And I saw, like, Twitter was saying, like, Usyk's looking tired here, like halfway through the fight. He got his second win because he just came out, I think, in the 10th. And from then on, it was just full on, full pace, didn't let up, and just kind of beat his ass for the last 3 rounds. Excellent way to close the show. And kind of, I don't think he allowed the judges to rob him by doing that. I think if they could have, they would have. But yeah, it was very clear decision. Excellent result. Really fun to see. I, of course, picked AJ to win, because I tend to pick against the person I want to win, just so that I win either way. If if Usyk loses, I can pretend that I'm smart, and if Usyk wins, then I'm
such a hater.
Fucking love it. Love it.
I love the fight. I have to say that my stream was a bit shite, so I missed out.
You should have come to me. You should come to me. Always come to your
You shouldn't have come
here.
to me.
Come to your dad. Come see me. Just come see me. All right, that's what you got to do.
I'll be messaging you.
You fuck. You're too busy in your missus these days, by the way. You're fucking washed. You didn't even appear in the chat these days, or even the podcast. Nah, come on, man. Well, tonight we're united. That's what we're going to say.
You can't blame me. Summer is a dead zone for boxing.
Fuck off. NFL started, you cunt.
Nothing has been interesting to see in the past few weeks. I came back for the big ones, and that tonight was worth it. Tonight lived up. Tonight was great. Undercard, not so much. Undercard was a bit trash, aside from that Callum Smith knockout, and the opponent wasn't, anything special. But Campbell Hatton, of course, getting a gift decision. Twitter was all about that. So yeah, the judges weren't afraid to rob, some 2-4 Spanish dude, but they knew they couldn't get away with robbing Usyk, because he just put it on him too much, and AJ was ready to go.
Danny Young, another friend of the pod, says, yes, hey to Dave. Good to hear you. Absolutely. It's good to hear the hater back on the line. Take Ames is in the chat as well, along with a lot of other people. Hit the like. Come on, there's about 20-odd thousand of you in there. Let's hit the like, see if we can get up to quadruple figures. I will put the link indeed to the StreamYard out for anybody who wants to have their say. But first of all, I want to make sure the entire panel have had their say. First of all, Matty DiGianardo is the last person to speak. We are waiting, Matty, to hear your assessment of the great big victory for Oleksandr Usyk.
Well, I was fucking wrong. I think that's and it was clear, from the success that Chisora had and from the moments where Joshua did well, that he had to impose himself. That was the way you're going to win the fight. I hate to agree with our friend Anthony, but you had to play the role of the bigger man and impose yourself. That was absolutely the way he was going to win. There's something about AJ, and I'd be curious what you guys think on it. Like that boy's got some Victor Ortiz in him. That's my thought, and I don't know if he goes. Yeah, he's got some of that in him, and not as bad as Victor, obviously, but there's something a little bit shaky in the guy, and he covers it pretty well. But I don't think he's going to take the rematch, and I don't know what his future in the ring looks like. I agree with Oz. I know he jumped off, but I don't have a clue what Joshua might be able to do in the rematch. I think regardless so I think if he doesn't take that fight, we're looking at Usyk probably having some sort of a stay busy fight and homecoming fight in the Ukraine, and then hopefully after we get a conclusion to the Wilder Fury trilogy here, he can face the winner of that, and that will be an interesting enough fight, especially Fury, because I mean you're talking about a big, tall, smooth moving boxer against a smaller, smooth moving boxer. That's a really interesting style fight, and it could, if anybody could really impose themselves physically on Usyk. I think it would be Fury, actually, though, because we've seen him do it before, and that would be my hunch. But we'll see. Talk about a huge victory. I have very little faith in small heavyweights, but go ahead and prove me wrong.
Matty, a couple of things quickly. First of all, you can't have Usyk fighting the Ukraine. He's a road warrior, man. This will throw him completely off. If that's the fight he'll end up losing when he fights at home, it'll be completely alien to him.
He is a road warrior, by the way. Every single one of all his greatest wins, title fights, defenses, everything's on the road. Put some respect on his name.
I tend to think that there's not enough stability in Ukraine for people to want to have fights there. That's my hunch, but you got to make exceptions.
Second thing as well, Matty, just before we bring Danny Young in, who's jumped on the call, I'm going to take issue with your Victor Ortiz thing, if you don't mind, actually. I think
the pipes are calling.
AJ might have a bit of quitting him, but not as egregious as Ortiz. He takes his beating, to be fair. He kept getting up against Ruiz. He didn't quit tonight. He took his beating again to a certain degree. I'm not having that Ortiz comparison to a certain degree, Matty. What do you think about
that? Maybe more Cotto. Maybe more Cotto. I'm thinking the way he left the ring and just a few other things. Maybe he's more Cotto than Ortiz.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Danny Young is on the call with us. Delighted to have you with us, Danny. You've disappeared just in time for me introducing you. So
must really love Miguel Cotto.
I know, yeah, he's back on. Danny, how are you, sir? Unmute yourself.
Can you hear me all right, gents?
Yeah, I can hear you absolutely perfectly. What do you think there? You've travelled. You've watched Usyk live on the road. You must be loving it, Danny.
Oh, Danny boy.
It was beautiful, wasn't it? It was just fucking beautiful. Do you know what? I've had so many people come up to me because obviously, probably like you guys, because we like our boxing, we watch it a lot. We watch some shit sometimes. People go to us, "What do you reckon?" And I go, "Usyk's gonna win this," and they're going to me, "What, against Joshua?" I'm going, "Yeah, but you only know Joshua because you watch Sky Sports. That's the only reason you know who Joshua is. Forget it." I said, "This guy, Ukrainian, he knows no boundaries. He knows no limits. Like that guy."
to drop off.
Just losing Danny slightly there. Anybody else hearing that as well?
Yeah, same for me, mate. He was kind of faint.
Slightly,
You there, Danny?
He's
Oh, he's dropped off.
slightly losing Danny, but one person we haven't lost as we try to get Danny back on. It's
There's
the
a
main man
man,
himself,
the condemned.
Rapping Rob Kelly.
The
How?
condemned.
How?
Oh,
He's
Rob,
gone as well.
Oh, he's
my
fucking
God.
dead.
We couldn't be
Oh.
nice. Danny's back, Danny. We were losing
Danny.
you, Danny. We couldn't quite hear you.
It's all right. Can you hear me all right now? Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you now. You know now.
I'm in the arse end of nowhere down in Devon, so it's terrible.
Yeah,
but anyway,
sounds far better now.
Yep. Keep going.
yeah. So the guy, man, he's won every single belt on the road. I mean, who else has done that? I can't think. There he is, the main man.
The condemned man.
Was there a bit of a turn up for the Bucks, gentlemen, this evening?
Hey, if you really want to piss off your wife, you got to do your Katie Taylor impression during your wedding.
No. I was just I'm going to call in for just 5 seconds to say hello. I just seen the results, so I said a bit of dip in. I catch us tomorrow night. Peace out. Yeah.
Cheers, Rob. Thanks for coming on, man. He saw probably about as much of the fight as I did.
He's away to get his pussy. That's where he's away to. That's where he's gone. He's going to make the toilets. That's where he's gone. A wee biffed up, a fucking slide. That's what I'm talking about.
That's dedication. You know, if Joshua was as dedicated to boxing as Rob is to the asylum, he couldn't lose.
Yeah, exactly. For anybody who doesn't know, Rob's got married today, so there he is at the reception, live.
It's his own wedding.
Exclusive. Yeah. Good old Roberto. Right, Danny, let's get you back on, see if we can catch you a bit cleaner now. So go ahead.
Yeah, no. So I was just saying that he's won every belt on the road. I mean, what a champion! Like he's pure class, and that to me tonight was the Gassiev performance Mark II. I don't think Joshua had a look in there, and it was just the footwork. I mean, Joshua just didn't even know. He's so robotic, man. I mean, come on, we've seen that for so long now, and ever since he was chin checked by that fat midget, he's gone downhill. So anyway, it was beautiful. I love it, and yeah, I just want to come on and just say, wow, what a performance! Like my son's won tomorrow, and I'm going to be telling him about it nearly every birthday.
Woo! Class stuff, man. I know you've been busy tonight, Danny, so I appreciate you making the effort to come on, man. You know you're welcome anytime on a Sunday evening as well.
Cheers, Steve. Thanks, mate. Cheers, boys.
Take care. Cheers, dude.
Cheers, mate. All the best, mate.
Yeah, good lad, Danny Young. One of the good guys there. What's next then, Hater Dave, do you think, for AJ? Do you think he will take the rematch? Do you think he's going to go elsewhere? What's he going to do with himself, old AJ?
I think he's kind of adrift, sort of, and he's going to let the currents of boxing and his management kind of shift him where to go. I'm not sure he's super passionate about the sport at this point. Not really sure if he ever was, aside from, being the star, being, making the money, that sort of thing. But he's had a very good career. No denying that. I think Eddie and the rest of the team will have him take that rematch because they don't want to, give Usyk the chance to go possibly lose those belts to somebody else like Fury. So I think that would be the business decision to take. I think maybe they'll watch the tape. Maybe they'll say, hey, Usyk didn't look like he could take those or he took them fine, but he was complaining about some of the blows that seemed a bit low. I don't think Usyk liked the body shot. Those 2 uppercuts to the body seemed to bother him a little bit. He wasn't really in danger of being stopped or anything, but I think Team AJ is going to be looking for any solace they can get, anything they can kind of take from this fight and move to the next fight if there is a next fight. So maybe they'll say, hey, let's just go to the body more next time, something like that. Maybe like change things up. Just remember, after Joshua did get his ass handed to him and basically quit against Ruiz, we were on the pod the next day. I mean, we were enjoying ourselves, obviously, but I think almost all of us saw that, or we were of the opinion that what else can Joshua do differently in the rematch to win? We were very much thinking he might be finished. So
he could just come in and shape. I mean, that's what it came down to. Ruiz was fat as fuck.
He had too many tacos after he got all the belts. But I think obviously this is certainly a different fight. It wasn't just like a big punch that changed everything. Usyk schooled him from bell to bell, aside from some good adjustments by Joshua in the middle rounds. But yeah, and the gas tank is a huge thing for Joshua. I don't think that he can fix that. It's it's a chronic problem. He did okay, like it held up pretty well, but in the last 3 rounds, he was done. He had nothing left, and he just got bitch slapped around the ring. So I would say that Usyk wins a rematch, possibly even by stoppage if he comes in with more confidence. I wouldn't mind seeing it though. Yeah, I think tonight was interesting. It was fun to watch, and it's always fun to see the hyped man get beat by the guy the underdog people don't know as much, and it's just Usyk's walked the hard road. He's beaten a ton of great guys. He's the cruiserweight king, although I still think Breida's probably beat him, but it was very, very close. I admit. He's this is just such a wonderful culmination of a night. It's my dog. A culmination of a career for him. And he says post-fight, you've not seen the best of me. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does next. But this really changes the landscape of heavyweight boxing. I mean, you guys called it, but I don't know. I thought maybe Usyk would just make it close and deserve to win, but I never thought he would get it, and he did more than enough. So,
Dave, a question for you: who's the bigger boxing casual these days, you or former pod favourite Cindy Loback?
Well, she's never been a casual to begin with because I don't think she's ever watched a fight in her life. So it would have to be me because she's not even a casual. But at least I'm here, unlike Smito, unlike Kurt Ward, unlike the Guru, who said AJ would be icing him in 3 rounds.
Another L for him, exactly. Ricky Gravel has dropped us in a $5. Thank you very much, Ricky. God knows what kind of state he's in at the moment, but we hope that you will live to see the evening out. Also, shout out to Ryan Deal, who's thrown in another $5. He says, donate a wheelchair to the Save the Mrs. Rob Kelly Foundation.
He's that dragon, baby. That's what he did.
That's enough money. That's enough money from you, Ryan Deal. Don't be putting any more money in, otherwise I'm going to send you a refund. Don't want any more money from him. He's given us enough.
Mate.
There's another tenner flying in from SKC. He says, Usyk. Keep up the great work, guys. Shout out to the award-winning Steve Wellings. Thanks very much. I'm here just about.
We almost have enough for the next time that Tommy needs bail.
He might take the other ear off this time. Send a 50. We want Porky now. We ain't going to get Porky on tonight. You can send 500 on if you want to. That ain't happening. So Gabe's with us, though. He seems to be enjoying himself there, Gabe.
We lost Ben. I want to see the post-fight press conference.
We've lost Ben.
The only time there's an American majority on here is when there's a Brit who is lost. What kind of sadistic shit is that?
Because that's what you are. You're all about like take over the world and want to kill people and that. That's what you're all about. Fuck your foreign policy.
You wouldn't kill them if they do what we say, Andy.
But that's what I'm saying. Look what happens when we don't do what we say. You go and fucking blow shit up.
Boys, come on, man. We need to be united.
Anyhow.
Usyk won the fight, man. Calm down.
It's all love. Usyk has brought us together.
Gabe, yell in a southern accent.
Come on, Gabe.
Crying like a little bitch.
You goddamn motherfuckers. What are you doing?
Yeah, man. We're doing good. It's okay for you for 9 o'clock in the morning, but for me, it's 12 o'clock at night,
Gabe's only just got up. Come on, Gabe. What did you think of the fight?
Drink some whiskey.
Oh, wow. I couldn't have been more wrong. I thought old Gay J was going to bully Usyk around.
Casual.
Usually, I thought his superior power and try to push him back and apply pressure. Stupidly, he tried to box. I mean, you would think at this point of his career, both he and his team would know that he couldn't outbox Usyk. He couldn't outbox very many people. He only outboxed Ruiz in the rematch because Ruiz was fucking 5,000 pounds higher than he was the first time. I don't know. I was disappointed in his performance because I think if he applied pressure, if he had tried to be more of the bully, he could have made the fight work his way. But he tried to box, and he got his ears boxed off. Usyk looked phenomenal the whole time. I mean, it was really great. And then towards the end, we were having dinner, and I started yelling like a fucking madman. And the whole restaurant just kind of stops and turns around and looks to see what the fuck is going on.
You didn't say you were having dinner in public.
Yeah, I do go out in public from time to time.
Dude, where the fuck was the AJ uppercut all night?
You landed to the body.
Couldn't land it against the southpaw, which is what Andy was saying last week, and Rob as well, to their credit.
But to be honest, he was finding a wee bit of success with the right uppercut to the body. Maybe one or two times to the head, possibly. I don't know if I'm maybe over. I guess I've came straight on the podcast after watching the fight back and that. So, but what I can recall, at least maybe about the 8th, maybe even the 9th, Usyk was complaining about kind of maybe borderline low shots, and some of those shots were kind of like right uppercut type shots to the body and that. Which, by
That's
the
all
way,
I saw. I saw the body
Yeah.
shots, but there, I mean, nothing at mid range
be
as far
honest,
as the uppercuts.
I think Joshua was far too late starting trying to hit Usyk's body. If there's going to be a rematch, that's what he's going to have to start looking at. Start taking, as Terry Atlas would say, the air out of tires, hit the fucking body.
Get him in a clinch, wear him out. You know,
Well, he
freaking
couldn't
pull
get
him
him, mate.
tight, suck
This
the
is what I'm
freaking
saying.
air out of that bastard.
You saw it tonight. He couldn't do it. Because the second is early doors in that fight, right? I think Usyk knew if I can match him, punch for punch, early doors, take it in the middle, middle part of the fight where I'm going to be fucking really tired, but I've got a wee bit more gas. Joshua's going to be equally tired. And that he had some success with the right hands and that as well, but he was getting caught. You see it in the end of that as well. The way Usyk finished the fight, for me at least, and that shows you who had the most gas left.
Which is something we spoke about before. I know it's a lazy comparison, Andy, quickly, just before we bring games in, but the Frank Bruno comparison, it stood for a long time. I'm not saying AJ's a terrible fighter. It's not what I'm saying. His excitement, guaranteed. He can punch. He has his strengths, but he does really remind me of Frank.
He does. Look, listen, if what happened to Joshua in the last 30 seconds of the 12th, it maybe happened maybe kind of the midway part of the fight, he's in bother. He's in big bother. Especially with maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes left of the round. But look, I'll give Joshua his credit. Listen, look, he threw and he tried to change things up and be aggressive, especially after maybe about the 4th or 5th round. Because for me at least, I had Josh Usyk winning the first 4 rounds, so I thought Josh changed up a wee bit. He was being a wee bit more aggressive with the jab, throwing the right hands, hitting the body a wee bit, and that. It had Usyk certainly kind of uncomfortable at certain periods in the fight and complaining about potential low blows, which I'll go back and watch before the podcast tomorrow. We can break it down a wee bit more than that. But just going back to what other guys in that are saying about the rematch, I think Josh was going to take it. And I'm so glad Usyk won it because it just fucks up the whole picture again. Everybody's got to stand back. And there's a man in the studio the other night complaining as well, still on the zone, Dillian White. He says, I don't expect anything anymore. So I don't think that's a guy who's going to be talking about or getting any sort of world title fight anytime soon.
Ian Davidson has thrown in a super chat here. Sorry, Dave, I'll come to you in a second. He says, long-time listener, nights like this remind you of what we like about boxing and keeps us coming back. Great work as always, lads. Thank you very much. Danny Young, who's been on the call with us as well, thrown in a super chat. He says, a cheeky fiver for Rob to have his first single malt after marriage before he is knee-deep in clunge. Cheers, hashtag Team Field.
Jesus, Danny, were you a staff writer for the In-Betweeners?
Thanks for Danny there as well. Yeah, if you want to come on the call, I've thrown the link in there. Just a couple of things. Make sure you can string a coherent sentence together and don't come on and say, what do you guys think about things? We'll tell you all night what we think about things. We want to know what you think about things. Hey, today, if you want to jump in there as well.
Well, I was going to say on Dillian White, he was brought up there. Did he sound either drunk or punch drunk to anybody else? He sounded bad. Also,
sounded like himself to me.
I guess
White lightning, as you call him, Dave. White lightning.
Jimmy Afro thought that our buddy Anthony was riding the white pony at the beginning of the show.
Sorry, Dave, I cut you off in your prime there.
Any chance of getting Dr. Joseph on?
Well, I don't think we'll be able to get him.
He's been disappeared from Twitter for a while. I ain't seen that son of a bitch in ages.
He's hiding somewhere. Oh, I'll drop him a text and see if I can get at least a voice message from him. If not, get him on live tomorrow night. I will try my best. Ames, tell me then about the gas tank beforehand. I was saying that AJ usually flags a little bit in the middle round, 6 to 9. By the sound of it, Usyk was the one who was maybe flagging in those middle rounds. Tell me what you saw, because literally I didn't see anything.
Actually, I've just come on to ask you what you guys thought. What's the name of this podcast again?
Not host.
You're supposed to promote yourself first, Ames. Come on.
Well, you dropped in the doctor before I come on, and now you've come to me, so that's a big drop down from talking about getting the doctor on and getting me on here. But anyway, talking about the gas tank. So you know what? For my eyes, I thought actually AJ, I suppose because the pace of the fight weren't I know Usyk kind of pushed the pace of the fight, but it wasn't kind of like Joshua being on the front foot all the time. So I think Joshua was able to conserve a lot more, and I suppose he wasn't visibly tired until about maybe after round 6, and then like those last 3 rounds, he just wasn't there at all in terms of his gassing. And Usyk as well, like it went back and forth with the gassing because he faded a couple rounds. I think the 6th Joshua came back in, and then Usyk then came back as well, just to kind of let him know that it's not. I suppose maybe it was more of a round off as opposed to maybe the gassing issue. But I thought for me, AJ kind of played it as good as he could with the stamina that he has had. Now, I think a lot was made up in the build-up is the classic kind of cliche of not just the size matters thing, but the whole thing of Joshua's got to hit him hard and hit him early to make sure that Usyk Usyk has the respect of him, or whatever the cliche goes. But it went the other way around. Usyk hit him hard and early. In round 3, he wobbled him, didn't he? And I think that gained AJ's respect of Usyk's pound, what he was bringing to the table in terms of that. So I think that question was answered in AJ's round pretty quickly. And I think what happened was whenever Joshua got a little bit of success, maybe countered with like a right hand or got a jab through, Usyk just kept throwing the jab up to the head straight away, or a right hand down to the body, to just kind of give him that kind of mental check that whenever you have a bit of a success, I'm coming back with something quickly. I think those sort of things are kind of like draining, I suppose, as well. It's that mental game that people talk about when it comes to Usyk, that Tony Bellew has talked about. You're just drained constantly. And that mental aspect of which Joshua was saying, he really trained and this is just training camp for him. I think that kind of showed there that, because I would have thought that he'd kind of looked to avoid the whole jab fencing element of this fight, and I think he got drawn into that, trying to outbox the better, more accomplished boxer, and that showed in the first round. He kind of looked to fence with him, and I think that's part of the element of the game plan that I think AJ got drawn into. Now you're going to have to jab with him.
Sorry to interrupt you. Just last night we talked about this, and I mentioned on the BNTV stream that someone said about AJ doing the 1-2, the old Vladimir, but I didn't think that Usyk would allow him to do that, and his hand speed as well early on. I think it got like AJ's nose appeared like it was sort of had some kind of damage maybe in the first couple of rounds. I think his hand speed surprised him as well.
Well, interestingly, Rob McCracken, I don't know if you guys picked up on this. Rob McCracken, I think it was in the. It might be the 9th or the 10th. It went to the corner. Rob McCracken called exactly for that jab right hand combination, the Klitschko-esque combination that we know so well. So that's what Rob McCracken was asking for AJ to do. And yeah, I think you can't, for someone with the skills of Oleksandr Usyk, you can't just revert to something for that combo for 12 rounds. Now, I think part of that, when AJ had the success, and then Oleksandr Usyk kind of coming in and like just hitting him back with something else, like going down the body or the head that I mentioned before. I think that got into his head to where that when maybe a hook was available or a jab down to the body or going later, he went later down to the body, like around 6, he started his body work kind of thing. Like I think that really kind of played in his mind, and I suppose negated those elements of the game plan that Joshua was looking to bring to the table. But the thing with AJ is people have been talking about the rematch already and whether he should take it or not. You can't write off AJ at this point in time. Yes, that was a brilliant performance from Oleksandr Usyk, but something that AJ showed in his career is that he is adaptable. He has a plan A. He's shown a plan B. He now has to come back with a plan C, D, and E for Oleksandr Usyk, and he's in good hands with Rob McCracken. They'll come up with something. Needs time to heal. Obviously, with the eye injury, they need to understand whether the eye injury is just bruising or something more of a injury that's going to take a lot more time, i.e. Billy Joe Saunders and the eye socket there. But they'll have to plan that, and they'll have to go back to the drawing board and assess how they can beat Oleksandr Usyk, who proved that, like Ozzy was saying at the start, or Ozzy was saying in the build-up, and as he said when it came on, that size really doesn't matter. Maybe this is the turning point, the kind of evolution now back down to it's not about the land of the giants anymore. I know Usyk is tall as well, but still, like the crazy big fighters, it's not about them anymore. It's now kind of coming down and being more technical, being more adaptable, being more fluid, like Tyson Fury. I know he's tall as well, but Usyk then, I suppose, to the better degree that, the fluidity is going to be what tells as opposed to punch power.
We usually do about an hour on these. Stay with us for as long as you wish, Ames. You're welcome to stick along. We're in 39 minutes now. Hit the thumbs up, everybody, if you enjoy what you're hearing. Harry Munro is trying to join the call. Harry, it says you need to connect a microphone or camera, especially a microphone, preferably, before we can add you to the stream. So whatever device you're using doesn't seem to be picking up any kind of microphone. So if you want to remove yourself and come back on, you are more than welcome. Hater Dave's back with us. Gabe has been on, and the American contingent continues. Here he is,
These
Donny
casual
Baseball.
bastards.
Donny Baseball has come out of the woodwork. Good evening, Donald. How are
The
you?
wife has released the testicles.
All right, Don.
Donald.
And if that's not the perfect Donnie thing to do, like if that's not quintessentially Donnie.
What a glorious return from Donnie.
He's short.
So, while he's figuring that out, Steve, let me just jump in and real quick and say, I have got to tell you that I think Eddie Hearn has had about the worst month of his life going around here. Because you think about the whole Canelo thing, and then he thinks, oh, great, I've signed AJ to a contract for the rest of his career, which literally might have ended tonight. What a fucking great month Eddie is having. Evening, Ed. Woo!
Oh, dear. Paul Callan. Usyk put AJ in his box in round one. Great pod, lads. He's thrown us in some money as well. Thank you very much, Paul. Donny, are we hearing you now?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Lovely. Come on, Donald. Come on.
Come on, counsellor. Let's hear you.
Yeah. So actually, I was at my neighbor's. Like they had a kid right around the time we had a kid. So we were at the first birthday party.
Oh.
So all of a sudden, I had to withdraw and leave my kid. I had to leave with my kid with strangers to go watch this fight.
Yeah.
Good decision, Donny.
Always wise.
So yeah, I mean, I loved it from beginning to end. I loved the way that even though he had the shorter reach, he would just stay just out of range, and then just when he would make Anthony Joshua either throw a punch and get out of position, he would come in and hit him with either a jab or left hand. And I mean, I just I thought that it was just a perfect performance. And the only thing that got to me, though, was that it seemed as if in a couple of junctures he had Joshua in trouble. And if he had followed up on it, he actually probably could have knocked him out. I thought that there was a point in, I think it was the 5th or the 4th, and then the 12th as well, when he had him on the ropes as he was finishing him. It looked like the end of the first Rocky movie, where he had him literally on the ropes and was just wailing away. And it was that point that I knew that even though it was going to be in Joshua's backyard, I knew that there was no way the judges were going to be able to take it away from him. And I was very glad when I didn't hear a split decision when the results were announced, because once I knew it was going to be unanimous, I knew that Usyk was home free. I don't know how many times this shit has to happen, but it's like, if you've got the big fights, fucking make them. Just make them, because this is what happens. They always get greedy. They want to make one more fight, and then one more, and then we'll make the big one, and we're gonna let it marinate. And you know what? You fucking let it marinate long enough, and then this is what happens. It's like, stop being fucking greedy and just make the big fights. And you know what? But you know what? I wonder if they'll ever learn, because we've seen it happen so many times.
Yes. Love it. Absolutely fucking love it. Listen, Donny, you're absolutely correct, mate, because remember Barry Hearn coming out, and I was arguing with somebody last night on Twitter, actually. They said that how Wilder was ducking the fight with Joshua, right? And then lo and behold, up comes the fucking comments for Barry Hearn, Eddie's dad, saying I'd be happy if Anthony Joshua went through his career undefeated and hadn't even fought Wilder, right? Or he even mentions, even saying we could maybe, I would say to Joshua, not even take that fight for the next 2 to 3 years. Let it marinate, as you correctly said. So that fight that was $50 million will all of a sudden become $300 to $400 million. And I'm quoting here, by the way, from Barry Hearn. So as you said, he got fucking greedy, and look at it. It's tremendous. Lovely time. Michael McElwee, thank you,
yes,
mate.
Legend Michael McElwee is throwing the super chat. So is Mike. Mike's thrown one in as well. What about AJ blinking like Joel McClellan after the fight? That was quite weird. That I don't really know what was going on. Hopefully AJ's all right. Like he did keep on going.
They were saying
he was sucking wind.
He bolted from the ring too, like Broner style.
Ooh.
Dan Potter, they're flying in. He's thrown in a super chat as well.
We even got Canadian money coming in here.
Canadian money coming in as well. Anyone who's thrown in a super chat tonight, by the way, if you are not a member of Patreon, and email nuthousepodcast@gmail.com, and I'll send you every series of punches from the past. Anybody who's thrown in a super chat tonight, email nuthousepodcast@gmail.com. I'll send you every series we've done so far of punches from the past. Donnie, have you said everything that you have to say so far? Go ahead again.
Well, for now, yeah, sure, but I got more, but we'll wait. Yeah.
I was going to say, fuck, you opened Pandora's box.
Donnie opening boxes again. Let's get stuck straight in, Andy, to the undercard before we go back to the main event and finish up for the evening. So we had Callum Smith icing Lenin Castillo. Jesus Christ, the guy's left knee was kind of vibrating. I generally hope he's okay. Let's talk about that one first of all. I mean, were you kind of concerned about his welfare?
Yeah, mate, that was bad. That was really pretty rough stuff. Like he's trying to do the fucking Irish jig ball line on his back. It was
Michael flatlined.
Oh, that's some good darkness, Steve. That's
Jesus,
some good
man.
darkness.
Darkness. Eddie almost got a second body on his record the night, by the way, after that fight. Jesus Christ, man, that was pretty horrific stuff. Guys in the hospital, partly doing okay. So,
it's rarely those one-shotters. You know, it's the prolonged beatings that fuck you up.
Yeah, I suppose. But, mate, the way he went down, who knows what damage. Listen, you know what it's like. All you need to do is take one shot. Your head hits the back, the bottom rope, whiplash. So, but it's bad. It was pretty bad actually, to be honest with you. But interesting enough, actually, I heard Buddy McGirt saying after the first round, saying, "Listen, didn't go try to force a knockout. Just work on a few things. Just let it come naturally." And that's what happened. Basically, anyway, landing that right hand, kind of like shooting a kind of downward motion, kind of caught me about the cheek area, about the chin and that as well. But it was an evil knockout. Like there's not really much else you can say about it. It's definitely up there with a contender for knockout of the year without doubt.
Yeah, it was an absolute belter. Matty, anything from you on the undercard? We're not going to spend too much time on it.
Yeah, I guess I'll withhold this, so I have things to talk about tomorrow.
Matty withheld there. Anything from you, Hey today? We probably won't hear from you for another 7 years, so you may get into it now.
I'm thinking about coming on tomorrow, and I will be talking about Campbell Hatton.
Thinking about it. You should be thinking about it every other week as well. You can.
Campbell Hatton. I mean, we could talk about that. It was. I mean, we knew before this. The guy he's not his dad. He's very raw. But tonight he just got battered by a guy 2-4. He was about to collapse. Like he looked like he just had everything sucked out of him. I don't even know the name of the guy he fought. Was it Ramirez or something?
Sonny Martinez, I think.
Martinez. But the guy, like he looked like he was using Ricky Hatton's style against Campbell Hatton. He was like just mauling him, shoving him around, hitting him in the balls a few times. You know, his good old dirty Ricky Hatton stuff on his son. It was pretty funny to watch, but he lost that fight. Come on.
Ames, just on Campbell Hatton briefly, I actually feel sorry for the kid because he's been offered these big opportunities. You're not going to turn them down. Obviously, he's taking his opportunities as best he can. He's clearly not very good. Is he being a little bit exploited, Ames, for his name?
Well, yeah, it's exploited may be a strong word, but you're gonna do this with someone with the name of Campbell Hatton, and you've seen it before. You've seen it in the form of Conor Benn. That's where you've seen it. And what the plan is for Campbell Hatton is not that I'm on the inside and know the plan is, but I think from the outside looking in, is you get to see every single fight from Campbell Hatton from the start to the finish, and you'll see from when he's limited to when he's improved. Just like with Conor Benn, where everyone kind of slated off Conor Benn after Paynord, they wrote him off, and even Conor had to kind of rethink things and wanted to think about whether he wanted to continue after that fight. And that's what's going to happen. That's the archetype plan. They've gone with Conor Benn. Look where Conor Benn is now, and the tide is kind of turned with him now, and he's kind of in the favors of the fans because of the improvements he's made. That's what's happening here. So you're going to see, and then when you see that improvement 10 fights down the line, then you can go back to like, we saw him when he was crap, when he was against Sonny Martinez, and maybe we thought he lost, and look now how he's come along. This is what's happening with him. So there's two sides of it there. Yeah, sure, maybe you might think he shouldn't get the spotlight that he's getting, but with the name that he has and the path that they're setting, the same path that Conor Ben's walking now currently, I get why they're doing it. And he's going to get these opportunities, and like you don't do that if you put on a small horse show where it might not get recorded, or people don't get to see the fight. So that's why he's getting on there with the fight. Putting the result aside, and whether he should have got the victory or not, you'd only learn from those sort of fights. You learn about where you are, where you should slow it down, and having a step up. I know we're talking about Sonny Martinez being some sort of step up, but relative to where he is, a step up anyway. It just means they'll have to slow it down a bit and give him a few more kind of punch bags to kind of get in there with and throw hands with. I think he's also, I've asked this of him before, and I think this is playing a little bit on his mind. I suppose maybe I should walk that back a tiny bit in the sense that I don't know what's going through his head, but I think he really wants a knockout. I think he really wants that knockout. He kind of wants to kind of get the ball rolling on the, obviously the Ricky Hatton comparisons are there, but he wants to get the ball rolling on that with that knockout victory, and that will kind of set things in motion. And I think he just needs to kind of slow everything down a little bit more, because I actually thought in terms of his structure in his offense, he looked better than he had before, but then everything else kind of unraveled a bit with the defense still not being there, the gaps in his work. And yeah, so it's just, there's a lot of work needed to go into Campbell Hatton, but it's not his fault. He's not going to turn those opportunities down, like he said and like you said. And the beauty of it is we all get to see that journey. But at the moment in that journey, he's not the fighter that we're going to, as they plan to have it, be right now. So, yeah. And with that, he will take the stick that comes with it. And I'm not really one to kind of throw that at him. He's a fighter learning, but others will. That's up to them. In terms of the victory, whether he should have got it or not, no. He didn't win that fight, unfortunately for him. But he got it, and they'll have to assess that and move forward with other opponents that they look to match him up with in the future.
I got to tell you, they need to change the name Hurricane, though. That's the wrong nickname for him. Tropical Depression is probably better.
Could end up in the Bahamas with Riddick Bowe and all the other boys, James Toney and Zab Judah Promotions. Matty, maybe with the tropical element.
They pulled Riddick Bowe out, Steve. Haven't you been paying attention to our Facebook feed?
I have, but I'm still in denial, man. I wanted to see Big Daddy back in there.
Yeah, so it was a dream we all had.
I just want to pick up on M. Lithgow's point, saying about he's going to become a hate figure, getting these mass opportunities. That's a good point. If you keep putting him in these opportunities and he doesn't eventually shine on that spotlight, fans will turn on him. I think that's, I don't want to say it's starting yet, but it might just start creeping in that direction. That's not what you want for someone.
Booed tonight. He got fucking booed big time.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a shame. Again, it's not his fault, but that's the direction that they're pushing him, and he'll have to deal with everything. But this is the thing, like, the best thing about it is you learn from those fights, and that's the biggest stage he'll be on probably for a while. So hopefully, if there's anything outside, like, the nerves and things like that, those things will flitter away because he's done it, or at least he's fought on these stages before. So that's a little kind of check mark you can put in his experience book, I suppose.
Absolutely. MB, they're saying, let's be honest, he's fucking crap. And he is crap. And I do feel sorry for him. He's a 20-year-old kid, man. Everyone, I mean, it's okay for us now. Like, I'm nearly 40 and all. But thinking back to when you were 20, you were daft as hell, man. And you're not mature and you think about things differently. I'd say it'd probably be hurting him to hear this. So exploited aims is right. That's probably a little bit too strong. But they're going to exploit him for his name. That's the cynicism of the business. And I kind of don't blame him for that because it's always been done. They've done the same with Conor Ben. And I could be looking back with rose-tinted spectacles here. Conor was definitely more exciting, I think, because he had a bit of a dig about him. And I'm saying that Conor looked better than Campbell at this stage, but I can't say that for sure because I don't really remember his early fights up close and personal. But Campbell kind of reminds me a bit more like Harley Ben at this stage, Andy. And I don't really see... I don't know, man. He could definitely improve, but I don't even see him kind of getting to British title level at the moment. I just don't see where that ceiling can really push up. He just doesn't seem to have the dig, which is a major problem.
Well, he does look very scrappy. And the thing with Ben, you're right, but the thing is, you need to remember with Conor Ben, he's in a gym where he's sparring with good quality fighters. Ricky Burns was in there, John Ryder was in there as well, I suppose. So he's got that grounding. I don't know who Campbell Hatton sparring men or that type of thing, but tonight.
Ibrahim Nadeem is in the gym there, another kind of young fighter. Sorry, no, that's Ricky Hatton. Sorry, my bad. No, they've got Luke Evans, is it, who had that knockout over the weekend, like a triple left hook knockout. Luke Evans being one of the fighters, but sorry, Nadeem's Hatton's fighter as opposed to
the biggest problem is
as opposed to Matthew.
I think we heard it tonight actually. With the decision, I thought he lost the fight. Right, he was getting clowned at times off a guy who's like was it 2-4, 2-5 type record and that, who was actually mocking him during the fucking fight as well. So is that going against the Spaniard? I don't know, but for me at least, I thought Hatton lost the fight. Conveniently, that he won the fight by 1 round or 1 point at least. To me, it's a kid who's been pushed on to, the viewing public. He's in pay-per-view fights. That's all his fights have been on pay-per-view. He shouldn't be here. To me, he should be on like VIP promotions on YouTube, learning his trade there, learning against tough opposition, switch hitters, southpaws, brawlers, infighters, but they're not on these undercard shows. No prime time fucking pay-per-views for me, at least. Anyway, Ben, I think, has done pretty well to kind of come back for that early setback. He should have lost that fight against that Frenchman, beat him in the rematch, I think. But he's done pretty well so far to kind of come back for that. But Campbell Hatton needs that wee bit of kind of like pulling back a wee bit, I think, for the pay-per-view market and that, because look, you can't lie at the crowd. The crowd fucking made their fucking feelings known when the decision came in. They fucking booed it. So are they wrong? People call us haters. If we were going to come out and say, look, I'm saying that Campbell Hatton lost that fight, am I a hater? No, of course not. I think he lost the fucking fight. The crowd thought he lost the fight. So
yeah, but Andy, that's more booing the decision as opposed to booing Campbell, right?
Yeah, I suppose. But he celebrated the win at the same time, mate. But I'm not going to mention it now. I'll bring it up in Billy the week next week, tomorrow. But Campbell Hatton said after the fucking fight that he had won. The Spaniard won only 2 rounds out of 6, and as Dave the Hater said, he was blown out his farter in the last 30 seconds of that 6th round. I guarantee you, if that was an 8 or a 10 rounder, Campbell Hatton would have fucking folded beforehand. So to me, at least, there is a vast work in progress there, and he should be nowhere near these type of supposed premier cards or premium cards that Eddie Hearn likes to talk about on the Zone or type of thing. That's just all I'm going to say about it. He shouldn't be on the type of cards. He should be involved in the lower tier cards, learning his trade against tough, tricky opposition. No that type of fucking performance on pay-per-view. Sorry.
You guys need to get rid of those referee judging a contest and only their scorecard thing. It's a terrible fucking practice. Just awful.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. That needs to be binned straight away.
When you said early setback earlier, Andy, I was half listening. I thought you said Ellie setback for a minute.
You're still raging because you haven't seen
Triggered!
the fight yet, Steve's raging because he's not seen the fight yet. He is. And
Calm down a bit now.
I'm doing my best, mate, to try and find you a copy right now, actually. And I've got it. I found it. I've got it.
Is it on? Is it up? Right, I'm
oh, no. It's 34 gig.
Oh,
fuck.
I'll take it.
That'll take me about 6 months, I think, to
exactly. It's a whole card, mate. No, I'm not going to download that.
I'll get it in the morning. It'll be there in the morning, boys. Ames, are you unmuting there for something?
Yeah, you just got to remember with Campbell Hatton, there's a lot of pressure as well with guiding this guy's career because of the name value. That's an asset there. That's a diamond in the rough here, like with Conor Benn. So they have to get this right. So I think they might end up pulling this back a little bit because an early loss will, you know what it is with boxing and undefeated and keeping your kind of record clear. That will kind of really kind of put the brakes on it and maybe kind of make Campbell question whether he's really in it for.
Especially with his limited skill set. The O is one of the only things that he has going for him at the moment, as harsh as that might sound.
No, I understand that. So yeah, this is from looking at it from how maybe you would look at it in terms of your fighter. That's an asset there who could really make you a lot of money because it's a classic story. The son of someone who did something great, and in boxing terms, the son of a boxer also doing something great, winning a world title. So it's guaranteed interest there. So I'd like to see, hopefully, Campbell kind of make those improvements and get that time maybe away from the spotlight to make those improvements as well. I've got to give him that opportunity to do so.
No, well said. Obviously, when you're the son of a legend, then you're going to go in the ring whether you're any good or not. I mean, you can think Ronald Hearns for Tommy. This was Stephen Pryor, I think Aaron Pryor's son. George Foreman, the third or the fourth or the fifth or one of them. Hasim Rahman Jr.'s plodding around on the club scene at the moment. It makes sense to pull on the gloves and have a go, doesn't it, with the name value alone under?
Hey, Monk Foreman is undefeated.
Well, there you go then.
Look what they're doing with
Aaron Pryor Jr.
Troy Luffy Morrison.
Tommy Morrison's son is doing the club scene, isn't he?
He was.
There you go, Marvis Frazier. Yeah,
I think he's been on a couple of like kind of ESPN cards maybe or something down the undercard or something. I think he might be with Top Rank for some reason.
Ronnie Hussein has thrown in a super chat. I'm just adding him to the list here, the Hall of Fame tonight. Ronnie says, shout out to you all. He says, well done to Usyk. It was a stinker of a fight. Well, I think it was intriguing in its own way. Ben will get exposed in time. Not even an area level title to his name. Right, let's leave the undercard in the dustbin like Riddick Bowe's belt, exactly where it belongs. Danny Young said something that I was going to touch upon just as we start to close out everybody.
I enjoyed the shit out of that fight. I thought that was a high quality boxing match.
Yeah, I didn't think it was.
Ronnie's given us a fiver though, boys. So
yeah, no, everyone's entitled to their opinion. I appreciate it. I wouldn't quite put it up on that level of like high speed chess. Like I kind of reserve that for fights like Calzaghe Kessler, for instance. But it was a good boxing match between two skilled individuals, and one of them just happens to have exceptional skills.
Yeah, I think like a Kovalev Ward or other fights which don't come to mind at time. It's kind of intriguing all along. You're expecting something to take. There's like ebbs and flows. You're expecting something to happen. It keeps you on the edge of the seat. No, I don't think it was a stinker at all, to be honest. Right, let's go around the boys then before we close out for the evening. If you want to come on, you better hurry the hell up because we've done the hour now. This will go up on Patreon. We'll put it up on SoundCloud and all that type of stuff as well. Donny Baseball. Danny Young says, I've been doing some research and I can't find another boxer who has won all his belts away from home. Could Usyk be a great story for that alone, Donny?
What about Fury?
What?
Looking at Mrs.
You having a stroke?
He said, what about Fury? I think Fury's won all his belts away from home, although he might be...
defended them as well.
All two of them, innit?
Yeah.
Do you want to jump in there, Dave?
I guess Donnie has been kidnapped again. I think, given the amount of belts Usyk has won, and given the opposition he's faced, I think there's no doubt he's a grade. I don't know how much the belt aspect has to do with it, just because I'm really over belts in general. Obviously, they mean something to business. It's something they can flash around in the ring. It's just the sport's tenuous way to kind of create some structure in this sport, and it vaguely indicates who the best are in certain divisions. But it's a series of guys, because hardly in any divisions does any one person hold all the belts. So I'm not really worried about the A belt. It's more about who's the best and who they've beat.
So the landscape then, Matty, has changed. We've got another few fights coming up soon. Obviously, Fury Wilder 3, White against Otto Wallin as well. In the light of this, are you looking at the other fights differently, perhaps? I suppose we're going to have to wait and see who comes out on top of the next two big heavyweight fights. But come to November, the heavyweight landscape could be completely different. You only need Wilder to land a big shot, Otto Wallin to box White's ears off, and all of a sudden, it just looks completely different.
Well, that can change easily, especially when you think about like all of these the fighters who are champions or competing in that upper tier. These are all fighters that are in their mid-30s. I mean, they could tumble over the cliff at any given time. So the heavyweight division kind of got hot when it was already on borrowed time. But if these fighters lose legitimately to good opposition, it can maintain most of its momentum. I think that in the States, at least, for lack of a better term, like you really need a big black heavyweight for the American boxing public to follow the heavyweight division. But outside of the States, I think as long as there's a flow and the heavyweight champions aren't junk fighters as they have been at times in the past, even if it gets flipped on its head, it's a division where the unexpected happens quite often, and that's what makes heavyweight boxing fun, and it's almost its own sport in a way.
Matty, you'll be in the hot seat tomorrow night. Do you want to give us a summation, having watched the fight live only a few minutes ago, before you have a chance to obviously watch it back, or gather your thoughts for tomorrow night? Just sum up the evening for yourself.
I was impressed with Usyk's ability to come back when he found his second win somewhere around the 9th round. AJ really did fight his way back into the match, and then Usyk just found something because his movements were becoming more strained. He wasn't as fluid in his feet, and AJ was taking advantage of it. Then he just found another win and turned it on. So I'm always impressed with those people that have a second win like that, and people that take it home. Oleksandr Usyk really has the heart of a champion because he has that kind of will to win, which is uncommon in any sport.
Well said, Matty. Thank you for being with us tonight. Donny Baseball's back with us here. Fox B says Ruiz took AJ's soul. Now AJ's stealing paydays. Donny, sum up the evening for us.
Well, I mean, the thing about Anthony Joshua is that I'm just wondering when his most, ardent supporters are just going to admit that he's not that good. Because, I mean, the thing is that all the time he's got, Usyk, smaller man, Andy Ruiz, short, fat man. Nobody ever would have thought that, the cruiserweight champion or a fat guy could basically master a guy and take his soul, like who looks like a sculpted Adonis. Like, the biggest thing that Anthony Joshua has going for him is that he looks the part. Like, if you looked up heavyweight champion in the dictionary and they had like a picture next to it, like, it would look like Anthony Joshua, but he wouldn't fight like him. He'd fight like Tyson Fury, or he'd fight like, any number of the guys that have beaten him who have real boxing skills. I think that, as time goes on, people are going to just be, more and more have buyer's remorse, or just be unable to accept that they've hitched their wagons to the wrong horse. He's exciting for heavyweight boxing. He brings a big fan base. He's got a lot of hype behind him. But at the end of the day, he's a second-class heavyweight compared to some of these other guys out there. When it comes down to real skills, and he's, we'll see what the future holds for him. But that's how I feel. And it's unfortunate because it would have been nice to see him, fight Fury at this point in time. It didn't happen, but I think that people are going to have to be accepting the reality sooner than later.
Well said, Donny. Good to have you with us as always. Come back soon. Ames, as the recently anointed king of the hardcores, king of the WhatsApp group, Eddie can be glad that you're not in that press room tonight, grilling him like a George Foreman grill. What did you make of the evening overall?
Shout out to Dylan Prastovich's team, who turned down taking Step Aside and decided to get blasted out for one world title when they could have took Step Aside and fought for maybe 2 titles. So belly of the week in there for that decision making there. But no, look, I mean, I thought the fight was really good. As someone commented, the fight was a boring affair, but for me, I started kind of looking to score the fight, and I stopped after the first round because it was just an absorbing affair. I suppose when the dust is settled, like a month later, you watch the fight back, you get a sense of whether it was a really good fight because you're not watching it for the first time. But no, I really enjoyed the fight. The only thing I really kind of want to mention is the shot of Oleksandr Usyk when his name was read out, and you see tears coming out of his eyes, and he's just breaking down and crying. That's what it's all about. These moments are forget like allegiances for AJ or Usyk. The right man won. He got his just desserts in terms of what he put out there in the ring, and you get to see his emotion raw. Everything he did in the lead up, being separated from his family for however many months it was. He said he said in the post fight, today was his 12th anniversary with his wife. So to do that as well on this day, if that's the translation of what was said, because something might got lost there, but yeah, a special moment for
it was. Because he posted some pictures up on Instagram, actually, quite intimate pictures of him and his wife.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's it. Special moment for him. Special moment for boxing fans, and that's what it's about. You want to see these big fights, and it kind of like, I suppose you guys were saying, like, was it the pod, not last week or the week before, where it's kind of been a lull period and just kind of a bit down about things. With these sort of fights and these sort of moments, kind of put that fuel back up in the boxing canister. When petrol is kind of low and all that sort of stuff, but your petrol for boxing love, I suppose, is your can is filled up with these sort of moments. So
I said to you last night, didn't I? I said to you, we didn't need any bullshit on the scorecards, but we didn't get it. We got the correct winner. I think everybody would agree that it was not an uneasy fight to score. I think it was a very easy fight to score. I think the rounds to pick for each fighter were pretty clear. I thought between rounds 9 till 12, Usyk was by far the clear winner.
Yes, indeed, lovely stuff. Thank you, Ames, for joining us as well. Hey to Dave. Des says Usyk's feet won him the fight. They certainly did. And this isn't a knock on AJ because he took the fight. And I genuinely do believe AJ is the kind of guy who takes fights. I think he'll take the rematch. I don't think there's any problem necessarily with his heart, as has been suggested in the past by people from previous fights. And one thing I will say, though, you've got to celebrate Usyk, haven't you, Dave? We love fighters who go on the road, aren't afraid to fight for belts, aren't afraid to go in other people's backyards. And he's there for everyone to see. The proof's in the pudding, and cliches of that nature. He's took every fight, he's fought everybody available, and he's going to carry on fighting, carry on winning, you would imagine, especially against some of the mandatories he's got coming up. And you wouldn't write him out against anybody despite his size. I mean, it's a win to be celebrated, Dave, I think, for someone with that tenacity and that nature.
Yeah, absolutely. Tonight, the main event, at least, is why we watch boxing. It's inspiring stuff like this. I mean, we all have our biases too. I think the majority of us certainly rooting for Usyk and not the company man, but still, we respect Joshua. He got in there, he fought the man. He didn't quit, and he did win some rounds. He gave it a good fight. It's just a good night. This is what even when boxing fucks us, we keep coming back like battered spouses because of nights like tonight. This is inspiring stuff from Usyk, especially to those of us who have followed his career and known, what a tremendous resume he already has, and he was a great before tonight. This just adds to things. I think we're all happy for him. I'm just speaking for myself, and credit to everyone involved in the fight. Really, there was as far as I know, I wasn't following every tweet, every press conference and stuff, but there was no shady business. They fought a good honest fight. The right man won. Good stuff. I liked it.
Well said, Dave. Good to hear you back as well. Final word to you, Andy, as is fitting on a night like this. You've been a big proponent of Usyk. We all called it on the pod last week, not with any great confidence for myself, I must say. A shout out to John O'Donovan, by the way, who's thrown in a fiver as well. Final summation from you, Andy, before we finish up on this Saturday evening / Sunday morning.
I got it wrong. I thought Usyk would have won by stoppage. Other than that, I was really happy that we got no shenanigans on the scorecards. I'm happy that the heavyweight division is again being absolutely blown apart because everybody was wanting to see Joshua Fury, for example. I did say after all that shenanigans going back and forward about Fury and Joshua, the contract talks, that I was wanting to see someone, either Usyk or Wilder, just fuck up the whole situation. And we've got it again because this win tonight basically means that the heavyweight division gets backed up even further, and it means Joshua either's got a decision to make. I think he'll take the rematch. I think we get a somewhat similar result as well. But summation for me is I backed my guy for the start. I backed him to the end. I got the prediction wrong, but I'm happy after all. After everything we've had to deal with in the last few weeks, and that boxing's been so shite. I thought tonight's main event, forget undercard. Undercard was meant to be what it was. It was meant to be filler. We had so much time between fights to be, before the next one, for example, and that. But the main event for me delivered. It was, I wouldn't say fantastic, but it was intriguing all the way through. And I did think that if it was a 15-round fight, usually it would have got a stoppage in the end. And if he had got Joshua hanging like he did and 12, maybe in the midway part of the fight, I think he would have got him out of there. But fair play to both guys. Rumour is Joshua went to hospital for a checkup. Hopefully he's okay. And the guy that Callum Smith fought as well, hopefully he's going to be okay as well, and he pulls through okay as well.
Well said indeed, Andy. Just before we finish up, Ames, it hasn't been all roses over the weekend. Just want to drop in something there that kind of puts everything into perspective a little bit. It's a bit of sad news over the weekend, Ames.
Yeah, so in this fight week, you guys have mentioned it in the chat. There's been the sad passing of one of the well-respected and well-liked members of the boxing media. I've not been in boxing media for all that long myself, but I had a few moments to share some time with Frankie Beckles, also known as Pro Bees over at Pep Talk UK. He was working at the fight week this week. I think believe he came on the Wednesday or Thursday, and then sadly the next night he'd passed away. I don't fully know the situation there, but the bottom line is we've lost someone who's very well respected and liked. And for me, I had a few conversations with him where he was really open about giving advice about the boxing scene and just giving ideas about boxing media in general. So yeah, it was very nice for both Matchroom and I believe Sky Sports as well to put a little tribute out to someone who was very well respected within the boxing media. So big love to Pro Bees and his family, who I'm sure are grieving in this moment of time, and hopefully Pep Talk can just kind of continue despite the heavy loss that they'll feel. Hopefully they'll be back up and running again. But yeah, rest in peace to Pro Bees.
Said.
Well said. Echoed by everybody on the panel as well. Thank you very much, James. Thank you for joining us. Hey to Dave, Matty, Andy, who are remaining with us as well. We are finishing up now. Thanks to everybody else who's been on. Too many to name, but I am going to name all the super chatters because we've had a load in tonight. 15 in total. Right, well, 16 if you include the fact that Ryan Deal has thrown in double super chats for us. Patrick Sweeney as well. James Windsor, Ian Cleto, Ricky Gravel, SKC, Ian Davidson, Danny Young, Paul Callan, Michael McElway, Mike, Dan Potter, Ronnie Hussein and John O'Donovan. And the offer still stands. If you have thrown in a super chat tonight, email nutthousepodcast@gmail.com and I will send you every episode we have done entirely of the back catalogue of Punches from the Past so far. You are very welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Matty will be in the hot seat tomorrow evening. If you want to call in, send in any questions, DM me on Twitter, send them in on patreon.com/boxing asylum if you wish. On the evening, indeed, that we have witnessed Usyk, the Road Warrior, doing the business again, away from home, as AJ, Eddie and company got sent to heavyweight hell by the gigantic little man. See you all tomorrow evening. We love you all, and bye.